An earlier start time and a new course? What the fuck? Welcome to Always Running Forward. I'm your host, Justin Stone. Last week, Run Disney sent us all a message about January's race at Walt Disney World, that the marathon is actually going to start at 4:30 a.m. 4:30 in the morning. I'm a West Coaster. Man, I don't know how I'm going to be able to handle all the races and then a 4:30 start for the marathon. Everyone's like, what is going on? I've been running this race since 2012, and I can't imagine every year having to race at 4:30. It just seems like it's getting earlier and earlier and earlier every year. Just bring back the wine and dine at night. This is what everybody wants, Run Disney. Just get it right. Let's run at night. We'll party till dawn, and then everybody sleeps, and then we go ride some rides. Can we do that, please? They also shared with us the course for the marathon in January, which is wildly early. So I think they're kind of appeasing the masses a little bit by sharing the marathon course with us early. But as in true Run Disney runner fashion, lots of noise and lots of conversation happening among the internets about what's going on with the marathon. And why I wanted to make this video is because this marathon course is as different, I think, as I've ever run a Run Disney marathon. Of course, with the history of the marathon, lots of changes have happened throughout the years. If you remember, in 2013, there was the ESPN Complex edition, which was 3.2 miles of just sidewalks. And then there was the changing of the start corrals and where you began the race. If you have never run the race before, you might not have known that we had to park in Epcot parking lot and then walk about a mile all the way to the start corrals, which was a bit of a beast in itself. And then, of course, Blizzard Beach and the Blizzard Beach parking lot. And then the one year we actually ran in Blizzard Beach for half a tick. So lots of changes are happening. And by the way, if you are new to Run Disney and you have never run a Run Disney race, or you're going down in January and you're just not sure what to do, check out my video about how to prep for a Run Disney race. Whether it's one race or whether it's 4 races. It's a great perspective on what to pack, what to do while you're there, how to navigate the expo, how to navigate the parks and run at the same time, how to make sure your family isn't super pissed off at you when you're like, oh, sorry, I got to go back to bed. Can't hang out with you at the parks. So if you have a minute, check out that video. Lots of great information. Now back to 2025. I've got muscle memory, like a lot of us do. We've got muscle memory. We've run these races so many years and so many times, you kind of know where you go. When you go into Main Street, then you turn into Tomorrowland and you swing around and you go through the castle. And then you go down into Liberty Square and Frontierland. No, not this year. Totally different. That's why I wanted to make this video, is really to give you a quick look into some of the changes and then give my perspective on what I think about the changes, maybe why they happen. So let's get into it. So starting the race is pretty consistent with what we've done in years past. Like, you start in the area where you basically do your bag drop and get ready. So when you start the race, it's going to feel very much similar, but then you swing right into Epcot backstage, like the security area where the cast parks, behind Test Track, World of Motion if you're old school. And it's really not that different than the 5Ks or the 10Ks. So you work your way backstage and onto World Showcase Promenade through Mexico. And then Mexico, you make a left and you run around the World Showcase Promenade. And I think this is kind of the biggest sticking point for most of the runners, because World Showcase Promenade is where you ended the race. So you'd come out on International Gateway from the boardwalk, and then you'd swing your way through France and around World Showcase, and you'd see all the runners in front of you finishing, and some runners would grab margaritas and finish the race that way. So it's kind of a bummer. Like, it really is a bummer. I think this is the part of the race that I'm super bummed about, because I loved that time as much as it was difficult, because it's sun's beating down, it's the end of a marathon. World Showcase Promenade is not short, but you'd see all the other runners and you knew the end was in sight and you'd get very emotional. So it's very much a bummer that they're doing that, but I can't really see why. Is it the margarita thing? I don't think it's the margarita thing, but I don't know. So you're gonna run around World Showcase Promenade and up through Journey to Imagination and the land and the Seas with Nemo, which is so kind of weird because that's usually not an area that you're running up through. Usually, if you're doing anything, it's running through the Journey to Imagination gate and across the breezeway into Interventions. So this area is gonna be completely different and new. You're gonna go through the new breezeway next to Seas, and then backstage. So again, that's going to be something that's fairly different. It's going to be a different experience, and who knows what that's going to feel like. But then you're going to make the turn towards Magic Kingdom, and all of that's going to be fairly consistent with what you've run in the past. If you've run these races before, really nothing different. You're turning onto World Drive, you run into World Drive, and then this is the area that's been kind of the most crazy whack funky over the last couple of years. You're going to make a left before you get to the toll plaza. You're going to go by the gas station that's been there 100 years, and you're going to cut all the way down to the Polynesian Resort and the Grand Floridian. Again, this is something that historically you've run the opposite direction. You're coming from the Magic Kingdom, out Frontierland, Cast Gate, and then through by Grand Floridian and the Polynesian, and you see all your friends and family on the left. This time, you're gonna go up that way. It's wild. It's like, why are you doing this? As you get to the Grand Floridian, you're gonna make a right onto a walking course, a jogging path that seemingly right now, according to Google Maps, as you can see here, has no bridge. I'm fairly confident that there is a standing bridge there, and if not, maybe they're putting pontoon bridges. I don't think so. I think that there's something there. But this is something that I've never done as a runner at Disney, so it's really interesting to see how we're going to enter the Magic Kingdom. You're going to go past the monorails, past the boat dock. You're going to make a left into Magic Kingdom, and then my favorite part of any Disney race is running down Main Street USA. I absolutely love it. I love to see the crowd and hearing all the people, and I always run a little bit faster there because I love it. Although I've been lately trying to kind of rein it in a little bit because there's so much of the rest of the course that isn't fun. So I try and ease back. I try and drink in the excitement a little bit, and that way it saves me for a little bit later of a time on the course. Now, normally when we're done with Main Street USA, you hang a right in Tomorrowland and you go around that way into the castle. However, this time we're going to go left into Adventureland. Adventureland. I don't think I've ever run in Adventureland except when I was a cast member. My very first job, I was 16, I worked in Adventureland merchandise. So Adventureland always gives me a little bit of the feels, a little bit of the, it was a simpler time back then. Gonna go through Adventureland. We're gonna swing around into Frontierland, go up the Frontierland Promenade. We're gonna look at probably all the construction that's happening on Tom Sawyer Island. I've got all different kinds of thoughts on that mess. I digress. We're gonna go up past the Haunted Mansion on our left and into Fantasyland. And then Fantasylands, we're gonna hit the castle, and then the castle, once you get through and get your pictures, I never liked running through the castle only because of the pictures that they take of me are the worst pictures in the world. It's like this weird angle and I'm turned and I'm like all gawky and look like a goob. And so I never liked it because the pictures are so bad. So I'm always kind of shying away from the cameras there. But you make a hard left back into Fantasyland, around Little Mermaid and all that craziness, down Tomorrowland, and out through the old security gate towards the Contemporary. Now here's where things get kind of just go through the Ticket Transportation Center. It'll be great to see all your friends and family. They'll be on the right this time instead of the left, which I think is kind of funky. But then the Magic Kingdom Toll Plaza parking lot is like back and forth and up and down and left and right, like you're kind of swinging in all these different areas. I think this is because they want to consolidate the course. They want to make the course a little bit tighter and more compact, because by the time you hit Barrel Island Road, which takes you towards Animal Kingdom, you're already at mile 13. Historically, it's been like mile 9.5, but Barrel Island Road is where it gets you to Animal Kingdom. Thankfully, Animal Kingdom is the same. You run in, you get a quick tour of the Animal Kingdom, and then you get out. Some people like to ride Expedition Everest. I don't know if this change is not going to allow them to do that, but we'll see how that goes. And then you swing on out of Animal Kingdom from the back gate, and you hit our favorite, Blizzard Beach. Oh, Blizzard Beach. God, I hate Blizzard Beach. I hate it so much. Why do we do this? Ugh, it's so terrible. You go in, you run around a parking lot, you see everybody around you. They are miserable. It's now mile 22 versus mile 20, so I'm interested to see how my body's going to react to that. But I will say I'm very excited that we don't make a left out of Blizzard Beach parking lot. We now make a right. So instead, historically, you'd make a left and you go all the way to Osceola Parkway in the middle of nowhere, and you'd swing on up to World Drive and then Buena Vista Drive to get to the studios. Now we make a right onto Buena Vista Drive, so that we've already put in the extra miles, I think, Magic Kingdom parking lot, so that we don't have to do those extra miles around way back by Osceola Parkway, which I absolutely just loathe. I hate that whole area. I hate this whole part of the race. But then we swing into the studios for half a second. I'm still very sore that there isn't a good studios section of a race or a studios race. The ESPN 5K way, way back, I think 2013, which was all in the studios. One of my favorite races of all time. You ran past the Great Movie Ride, RIP. You went through the costuming tunnel, RIP. You went through all these great backstage areas of the studios. I love the studios. I worked there for a long time. It's my favorite park. And it's such a drag that we don't run through the studios more. And just to kind of run through Fantasmic and the Tower and Tower of Terror and then out even the like overflow gate is kind of a slap in the butt, right? It's kind of like but it is what it is. Then you run through the walkway, get to Boardwalk. And as you go to the Boardwalk, you're back into International Gateway. You make a left backstage towards Journey and Imagination and Soarin', back onto World Showcase Promenade for half a second, into Future World. Again, it's called Future World. I don't know what they call it now. World Village, Kids Village, the Village of Worlds. I don't know. I don't care. It's Future World. So go through Intervention, Breezeway, and then back behind Guardians, and then you're through the finish. And that's it. So lots of changes in 2025. Am I excited? I don't know. I guess I am. At this point, I've run the race so many times. I'm older. I just like to get up and run and just point me in a direction and I run. I am interested to see what the parking lot for Magic Kingdom is going to be and how difficult that's going to be. There's also lots of places for the potential for runners to kind of skip. Like Blizzard Beach looks like a big one that they might be able to skip. I don't advocate that. Skipping any part of the race, you're just cheating yourself. But anyways, that's the 2025 marathon course perspective, review, preview, run view. I don't know what it is. I'm kind of more excited than disappointed, to be honest. I'm not like a margarita buyer. I don't ride rides during the race. I just run, and I try and run as fast as I can, although it's tougher these years as the years go on. But I do like having kind of a more compact race, so to speak. So when I feel like I'm getting ready to finish, or I'm getting closer to the race, or getting closer to the finish, I'm actually closer to home versus like being out in the middle of nowhere under the hot sun. So we'll see how it goes. Anyways, I hope to see you there. By the way, again, if you have not ever run a RunDisney race and you just don't know what this is all about, please check out my video about preparation for multi-races at Disney, whether it's in Disneyland or Disney World. The video's a little more Disney World, so that's how I skewed it, but it talks about navigating the expo, where to stay, how to make sure your nutrition is on point, when to do the parks, when not, make sure you're moving, all that stuff. So if you have any questions, that might be a good place to start. I will say some of the course stuff, some of the time stuff is now outdated. I made the video like a month ago. It's outdated, so I might go in and change some of the copy, but make sure you check it out, and I'll see you next time.